Hey everybody, this is Grace, and I'm going to tell a story, and it's going to be a hypothetical, fictional kind of story, and I'll probably say you, and it's just how I tell a story. It doesn't mean really you, but it's my habit, and I doubt I'm going to change it. I keep trying, but anyway, it's going to be about when you have to question what you overhear, okay? And I think many people have been in situations where whether it's somebody they know or they don't know, total strangers, and you hear them tell a story like they're not quiet enough. They just, and you're not trying to eavesdrop, but you overhear. And it's a story about somebody saying that they've been done wrong by somebody else, somebody not there. And like I said, you overhear it, and what you hear, you think, wait a minute, it sounds more like the person who's telling the story, the person who's saying they're the victim, when it's reality, to you it seems like that's the one who's is not the victim. That would be, everything that you hear says, no, you're kind of guilty on what you do, okay? You see, I think many of us have been in that situation, or even with somebody we know, we hear about, maybe they tell us a story about somebody we don't know, that somebody who's done them wrong, and it's somebody you don't know at all, but you know that person. You say, and what you hear that person say is like, you're the guilty one. You're the one doing wrong. You did that person wrong, and now you're trying to play the victim on it. And I know I've heard these kinds of stories. I've heard people say that they all kinds of stories. Like, one told me that she was a manager, or maybe she still is at this point, an office manager, and a new employee. She claimed that she had to fire this new employee because the new employee just wasn't fitting in right, and started talking about how bad she felt that she had to fire this new employee. And when I asked more questions, and when she said more about it, I said, wait a minute, you fired somebody who is the sole, the only person working with, who's going through hard times. Her and her husband, she and her husband are going through hard times, and her sister and her sister's husband, and they all live in one bedroom apartment. And because she wouldn't talk about her personal life at work, and yes, that is why that woman fired that other woman, because she wouldn't share enough about herself. Now, personally, any place I've ever worked, any office manager doesn't want you to share your personal, private business. Okay, but this one felt like that woman just wasn't trying to fit in. She wasn't talking enough, and she went down the road. The woman, the office manager that fired that woman, she went down this road saying that she felt so horrible, and but she just had to do it, and making herself sound like she was a victim herself. Unbelievable, when someone when somebody is so self-centered that they make somebody else's tragedy into their own, and there's somebody else who was done wrong by them. They try to make themselves seem like they've been done wrong by what? Unbelievable. But I have heard those kinds of things, and it's one of those things. It depends on who the person is, and everybody, anybody can be dangerous. Not everybody is, but some people can be dangerous if you point out, hey, look, you're a total blah blah blah, and go on with it, and say, look what you did. And that's the type that they're not going to listen to, because they're never wrong. Okay, this one was the type that was never wrong. And that something must be wrong with you if you can't see the story the way they do. Okay, we've all probably run across that, right? Now, if not, here's a hypothetical kind of situation, a fictional one, and I'll make it appropriate. Today is September 4th, 2020, so I'll make it appropriate for pandemic days and social distancing. Okay, so like I say you, and I don't really mean you, but imagine that you say you are, around my age, or just let's say you are around my age, in your 50s, and you own property. Okay, you own rental property, like a small house somewhere. It's a couple hours drive away, and you know the people there, your neighbor or something like that, and your next door neighbor. And well, one day your next door neighbor calls and said that they saw the people living in your home, in your rental property, move out. They moved all their stuff into one of those vans. I don't want to name a particular one, but to haul their stuff away. And he tells you that that he decided to wait until they were finished. He saw them do it over the weekend. He decided to wait until they were seemed like they were finished, and they didn't come back. He waited a few hours before dark, and walked over there, knocked on the door, and nobody answered. So he kind of looked around and kept knocking on the door, and then kind of tried to open the doors, and the front door, the back door, the only two doors, and they were locked. So to see that they were locked. And so he said he went home. What happened was he went home and he called you and said, this is the case, and so you might want to check it out. So you say, okay, thanks. You hadn't heard anything from them, so you thought about it. You thought, I'm going to just wait a few days in case they did leave, and however many days you wanted to wait. And then because of the COVID-19 and all, and you would wait until that next weekend, or whatever time you felt comfortable. And so you did. You went. You drove 2 hours and all to do that. And when you got there, you knocked on the door and everything, and you looked through the window yourself and saw that it was vacant. They had they just left. And so okay. Now it could have also been that thinking about this story, I don't own property like that, so I had in the past. I had rental property, but anyway, it could have been that they sent you the keys back in the mail, so then you knew, that they had left. Okay, so you go there and you do whatever you need to do about it, and on your way back, while you're there, you checking out everything, you realize you probably need to stop at a restaurant or something like that somewhere to get you something to eat for lunch before you drive the 2 hours back, whatever is the case. And so you stop at one of the restaurants. During the pandemic, like I said, I'll make it appropriate. You have to sit out, no indoor dining. You have to sit outside if you're going to eat at a restaurant. And you drive by, you see nobody else is there outside, so you go ahead and do it. And you're seated outside. The next table is so many feet over, appropriately, where anybody would be sitting wouldn't be right there next to you. And there's a couple tables, or however many tables. And but you're there early. Like it opens at 11, and you're there at 11 a.m. And so you're seated, and right after you're seated, two young women are seated. Also, instead of way down at the end, they're seated in the next one over, which is, like I said, separate enough. But it's a really nice, clear day, and not much traffic out or any of that. So after they sit down, you realize these two young women, let's say they're young, they're very loud. Okay, and with their talking, they're just. Then there's no way you can not hear what they're saying. You're not wanting to eavesdrop, but you can't. You will hear what they say because they're not that polite about it. Maybe nobody ever taught them. You don't have to talk so loud. I noticed some people like that, like I've said before. They have that narcissistic histrionic blend, and the histrionic side, they're loud. Oh, they're loud. They go to a restaurant, they don't care who hears them. They want to be on stage, and they want everybody to notice them. And yeah, they'll get attention, whether it's good attention or bad attention, they're going to get it. They want that attention. They don't care. So, anyway, when they start talking, that's the same kind of thing that happens. Is you hear one of them, like she's, like they're rather theatrical besides being loud, and one of them is telling a story about something her husband did wrong to her, and how he was, and that she was going to leave him because he was all this and he was all that. And the other one is sitting there with total excitement, listening to all the drama that the one with the husband is saying. It's just like total drama. You're watching a soap opera, okay, or listening to a soap opera in that case, and you're sitting there, you're listening to them, and you have had a lot of people in your life that you've seen play the victim. You've heard smear campaigns behind somebody's back. You've seen dramas in your life. You're not new to this world, and these are total strangers to you, but you hear the story and you say, wow, and then you wonder about the other one who's sitting there. Are they're just as thrilled by the drama? Is it something that really draws them in? Is that it's so dramatic? Maybe that person is their flying monkey, like they call them. And, whatever it is, it's just, and if you weren't too wise to this world, you might get caught up in that drama. You see, you might get caught up in how that person is, in the truth, they're probably very skilled, even in the young 20s. By that time, I think many people that I've run across are very skilled at turning stories around to where they're playing the victim when they were the one doing wrong. Okay, and especially when they have that histrionic side, they're wonderful they're great with this drama, being so theatrical, putting on an act, putting on a face, and knowing how to cry, when is the appropriate time to just burst into tears. And as you find out, they're the ones who are doing wrong. They were the ones who were victimizing their partner, their husband, wife. Yeah. You couldn't help but overhear what they were talking about, and they're strangers to you. And it's many people. I think many people would say, okay, it's not any of my business to say anything. Which, yeah. Besides, hey, could you please be quiet? I'm trying to enjoy my meal. Really. Could you please lower the volume? Or to tell the waiter, the server, hey, this is uncomfortable here. Talk to the manager. Oh boy, but really, I think many people would say, okay, it's not my position to get involved in this and say anything, but here I am, pretty much being forced to listen to their story. But I can't have any input, Okay, now that can happen in person. Yeah, I've been in plenty of restaurants over time when you can overhear the whole conversation of the people next to you because they're just that loud. Okay, and like I said, it's like watching drama. And I think people have become, not everybody, but some people these days have become so drawn into this drama. And you can find plenty of, especially the the reality TV was the beginning, I think, of much of it, when it became the reality TV shows. And then you can also find a lot of these, and anywhere you can play videos, where you can make videos and upload videos. It's not just YouTube, okay? And you can find drama channels, groups, where people make videos, and you can see it that way too. You don't know that person personally. You're just watching a video. You're not one of their friends. You're not their buddies. You're not one of their, not even maybe a subscriber of their channel or their group, or in a group, yeah, I would think, yeah, or just somebody in a group, and it's totally somebody you don't know. And when do you feel, what I'm getting to is, when do you start to feel that you should say something? Like in this thing, you can keep seeing them over and over, and they're letting out information like as if they're the victim, and what they're basically how do you put it? The way that they justify their own actions is not good, and if other people learn to justify their actions that way, that is justifiable of how they behaved, say it was really what they said, what they actually said they did was really cruel or verbal abuse or something, and they're putting it out as they're the victim for anybody to see. Anybody could comment. Would you? But I was talking about this with drama. I do want to say this. I have started to notice myself, every once in a while I see these drama channels, look at these drama channels. I said that usually like once every season. I mean like winter, spring, summer, fall. I'd catch myself just, peeking in to see if they're still doing the same thing. Usually they are. Having the same kind of arguments, same kind of thing going on, same kind of dramas going on, and fighting the same fights, using the same letter words, and all that. And I've noticed that, to me, it seems like, not just with me, but with so much being so dramatic these days, with the pandemic and so many other things, it seems like people are starting to get burnout. Now, if you really think about it, some of these things can feel like, the high drama of it can feel like it could become addictive. Now, physio-psych was not my best course, but I could see it, for some people becoming very addicted to keep that high drama, to keep always in suspense. Who's going to do what? How's this going to end? All that kind of stuff. But with everything else going on in the actual face-to-face world, they're face-to-face with the pandemic and all that it could be causing people. And not only that, you watch the news, it's filled with drama. So much with drama that people are getting burnt out. Like a drug addict hitting rock bottom. And then saying, hey, I gotta, ditch this and move back up. But yeah. But anyway, at what point in something like that, when you're a witness to something, and you know that if other people heard such a thing, and people can be influencers, influence other people, that okay, whenever somebody has done this to you, said this to you, then you start cussing them out and using the letter words, or basically, like I said, verbally, emotionally abusive, being abusive to them. Some might be talking about financially, socioeconomically abusing somebody, but putting it out as a norm. They're trying to normalize this as a normalization of narcissism kind of thing. They're trying to make that seem like that's okay behavior. Would you say something? Would you? And at what point would you stop them and say, How would you put it? Or would you just basically continue to watch to see if somebody else would? I'm not talking about at the restaurant. I mean, who's going to say something, but you never know, really. You never know. So, anyway, that's enough for this video, for now. And part of the way I'm doing this video, sometimes I'm doing it in the house now, but it's too noisy right now, and I felt like doing this and getting this one out. And maybe tomorrow. I did one earlier today, so I already did one inside today. But this one, outside. Anyway, wrapping it up. Talk to you on another video. Bye.